Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Hi, I'm Barbara Keith. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Off 90. There are so many amazing things to be said about Amanda Hocking, it's hard to know where to start. For one, she's a millionaire and only 27 years old. And she did it all on her own. Amanda always dreamt of being a writer, but no one would publish her books, so she decided to self-publish her work as ebooks online. Her popularity exploded virtually overnight as thousands of readers devoured her paranormal romances. Despite her sudden fame, Amanda remains down to earth and still lives in her hometown of Austin.
I think altogether in my career of sending out letters, I've gotten hundreds of rejections, maybe even like at least 1,000 maybe, I don't know. There had been times where I took it really hard and I said I was not going to write anymore and I was just going to give up. At that time I was like, I have to keep doing this, and if this is just part of the game, then we'll just try something different. And I'll keep trying something different until I find something that works. So I've written, I think, 19 books now. I've sold, I think, over 1.5 million. Kind of stopped keeping track after I sold 1 million. Yeah, about 1.5 million. I'm Amanda Hocking, and I write books, mostly young adult books. The first series that I published was My Blood Approved series, and it's about vampires in Minneapolis. The next series I published was the Trail books, and that's about a girl who finds out she's a changeling. So it's definitely like a paranormal romance. My other series is The Hollows, which is about zombies. My next series coming out that's new it's called Water Song, and it will be fun. I am 27 years old. I live in Austin, Minnesota. I was born here and I've lived here most of my life. When I was a little kid, I was always telling stories. And then as soon as I could write, I was writing. Other kids were playing with each other and having fun and playing games, and I was usually off by myself, either reading or writing. I finished my first book when I was 17. As soon as I finished writing it, I was sending it out, and I thought then it was going to be published and everything would just be kind of done from there. But then I kind of had the reality of the publishing world is much different than what I thought it would be. After I graduated from high school, I worked as a dishwasher for a little bit, and then I worked in group homes with people with disabilities as a caretaker for them. I would get done with work and I would come home and I would just write until, 9 or 10 in the morning. When I was working on a book, it would be usually 8 to 12 hours a day. Drank a lot of Red Bull and I just focused on it. This is what I needed to do, and this is what I was going to do. Like when you first start dating someone and you're really excited to see them and you stay awake all night, but you don't mind because you're with them. It's like that kind of high where you're not tired even when you're tired. Writing's always been something that I did. It's like asking me, why do you like breathing? It's what I do. It's how I kind of function. I don't think I would really know how to function without it. It was in early 2010. I read an article about somebody who had gotten, one of their books was, I think, like #1 or in the top 10 in the Amazon Kindle store, and they had self-published. I decided to research more, and then eventually I decided I've tried everything I can think of trying, so I'll try self-publishing it, and worst comes to worst, nobody buys it, I'm out nothing. So then I tried it, and it kind of took off from there. Well, I published the first 2 books in March of 2010, and I sold a couple. It wasn't like a lot. And then the next month I sold a couple more. So then I was like, well, I'll put up the 3rd one. Each month it was like, I think 300 and then 500, and then in June it was several thousand, and it just really started to take off. And by the end of the summer, I was making more money in a day than I was making in a month at my day job. I kind of freaked out because it was just so insane. It was kind of hard to fathom that it was happening like that. But it was still, you know, a good insane.
When I was 6 years old, my mother was convinced I was a monster and tried to kill me. She's been locked up ever since. But the thing is, I've never really fit in.
I think it's fun writing about like teenagers because everything they do is the first time.
Now, I'm just discovering the truth.
And the first experiences are always so much more memorable, and they jump into stuff because they don't realize that things can go wrong.
I must master new skills.
It's a lot more fun writing about the first kiss than about the 100th kiss.
And learn to protect the kingdom that I will one day rule.
I think a lot of times when I read young adult books, the things that I found irritating is that they can sometimes talk down to the audience, that the main character is the way we think teenagers should be and the way they should behave, and not the way they actually do. I tried to just have them be a little bit more flawed instead of an ideal. I was initially approached by a Hungarian publisher in August of 2010, and that's when I started thinking about what it would be for an American traditional deal. So this will be the first time that my books will be available in stores.
I think so, yes, definitely. Definitely, I'm the biggest fan.
There you go. Thank you for coming.
It's been pretty amazing, pretty surreal. It hasn't quite caught up to me yet, I don't think, and her either. I mean, she's still Amanda, my daughter. She hasn't changed at all, so that's really nice. But yeah, but it's pretty exciting, pretty whirlwind exciting.
Who would you like it made out to?
Well, I think it's just very remarkable. I think that what she did was an incredibly brave thing to do because e-books are so new, but she's one of the pioneers, and the eyes of the publishing world are on Amanda Hocking.
Bev, all right. There's no way I could have done any of this without my fans and my readers because I didn't have a marketing budget. I didn't have anything. The way that my books sold was through word of mouth. So they're immensely important and vital to everything that happens. The biggest change is, I guess, that I don't have a day job, but my day-to-day life isn't that different. You know, I have the same friends, I live in the same town, I have the same dog, so there's not big differences, except there's a big relief of not having to worry about money as much. Being able to pay bills is always a nice thing. I don't know exactly how much money I made if I combine my deals and everything. I know it's in the millions. This is my Han Solo in carbonite, which is the first big thing that I bought. These are my Nike mags. They're from Back to the Future 2. I'm drawn to, I think, everything that I wanted to have as a kid that I couldn't have. I would definitely describe myself as a geek. So, I mean, that was, you know, not even a year ago that I couldn't afford to fix my car or buy a new car. So that's weird. I do kind of have freakouts where I think, well, what if this is just a flash in the pan thing, and there's a lot of me trying to figure out how to have career longevity as opposed to just being kind of a gimmick, the girl who self-published kind of thing. The one thing that I find kind of frustrating about it all, though, is everybody always focuses on the money and the sales. And I know that's kind of what makes my story interesting, but they kind of forget the fact that people had to like the books, otherwise they wouldn't have sold. It becomes a story about self-publishing and the economy and the changing times. And in the end, that's not what sold the book. What sold it is that somebody liked it. And while the medium is interesting, it's not the important thing. I think if you write a good book, no matter what the vehicle is, somebody will read it.
Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.